Welcome to my podcast. My name is Corrinala, and I come to you from the Pacific Northwest, where I live with my husband, 2 horses that I adopted from the Bureau of Land Management Wildhorse Adoption Program, and 2 kitties we adopted from the local animal shelter. Information about these adoption programs will be in the show notes for every episode. The purpose of this podcast is to share real-life stories that hopefully are relatable to other crafters who might be interested in horses. The format of this podcast starts with a walk to the barn to feed the horses, catch up on the week, share my knitting projects, and other interests like bicycling or hiking. I also talk about vegetable gardening and cooking. I hope you bring your favorite beverage and a fun, crafty project to work on. Enjoy! Good morning, friends. Happy Friday. It is Friday, February 29, 2026. While we walk out to the barn, I just want to point out behind me, I put in my bucket, but right there, I don't know if you remember, or I probably avoided showing you, quite honestly, that was a giant weed patch. But I took some time last Saturday, or Sunday, whatever day it was, and weeded it and planted some zucchini and cucumbers. So we'll see how it goes. We've had some rainy weather, we've had some sunny weather, and we are expecting rain again. So things are growing pretty fast. And I'm referring specifically to the lawn. And I think the pastures, the horses have gone out somewhat on the pastures. So I'm going to turn the water on to the barn here in the well house, because I turn it off every time just to avoid any potential leaks. I suspect there's a leak, but I can't confirm because it's underground. I'm not willing to dig up the floor to do that. Knitting wise, I have a finished object for you. I'm so excited to show it to you. And I dug out all my hibernating projects. So I went through them last week on what was lingering, and I decided that was enough inspiration to work on them. And I'll describe to you how I have been managing that. Let's see, what else is new? I'm trying to think. I'll have some catch up, of course, over the week. I just feel a little bit disjointed this morning. Couldn't really say why. Maybe it's always like this. My trainer is coming today to work with Bragi. So we played a new game with him last week that I think was really effective, and it was a attention getting game, so that he was completely at liberty, and when he looked away or wasn't focused during the lesson, my trainer would do something like wave a flag to get his attention. And Bragi, being Bragi, tends to overreact about those things. And if you overreacted, we just keep waving the flag until he settled down and looked. And that was super effective. I used it all week, and I think it's been going great. Trying to figure out next steps for Odin. There he is. Good morning. Bragi's in his stall. Next steps for Odin in terms of treating his arthritis. So he has been he gets a little exuberant when he goes out into the pasture, and then he's like, oh, ouch, that hurts. So he's been on an arthritis medication. Hi, Bragi. Good morning. So we may need to take the next step and do some injections to make him comfortable and ideally make him rideable again. Today is the last lesson I have at the Warm Beach Christian Camp. Last week we went on a trail ride, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, how that went, and then steps forward. All right, I'm gonna get feeding. Good morning again, friends. Why do I have my cup in front of my finished object? This is the one I am really excited to show you. I think I showed you last week that I was almost done. I was literally just rows away, and it was true. This is the Traveler. It's by Andrea Mowry. Let me put down my computer with my notes on it. I knitted out of 2 different kinds of Cascade 220 sport weight yarn. I'm just looking to, I have the Lola top underneath it as well, because probably going to be too warm to wear this for very long. But again, Cascade 220 in this variegated yarn, and then for the sleeves, the ribbing and the hood and a little bit of the back too, is a different colorway. I don't think they have colorways for the Cascade 220. Oops, don't want to get too close because then I'm not in the frame. So I had a lot of yarn, and I thought I had plenty of yarn. And I did. I ended up with, completely ran out of this, which is why part of the back is in this rust color. I ended up with 29 grams left of the rust color, which is not a lot, but it's where I haven't blocked it yet. I expect it'll grow once I block it. I'm not sure. It doesn't really need to be blocked for shape yet, so I'll probably just block it sometime this fall or winter after I start wearing it more. It is a little bit, it's 20 degrees cooler today than it was yesterday, and it's supposed to rain, so I may end up wearing this for a little bit, but probably not while I am doing any horse things. I'm looking out at the weather, looking at the trees swaying in the wind. So that's this. The Lola top is a tank top, and I'll talk more about that later, but it's it's made out of a cotton yarn, and this was a repurposed yarn, so it comes up high in the front, has these like straps that are, there's really good coverage, and it's, I really enjoy wearing it. I'll talk about, the title of this is Giving Away Handmade Knits, and I do wear this, so I'm going to pause on that note and just talk about my whips, because I have made a fair amount of progress on all of my whips now that this is done and it's not my primary focus. So I'll put down my computer, and you might be able to see this pile over here in this chair. So we'll get started on that. So the first one I'm going to start off with is in this bag. This is the Staffin Lite vest. It is a pattern by Rebecca Clow. Her podcast is called The Crayabea. The bag is made by my mom. It's quilted, it's lined, it's beautiful. It has this batik fabric in the inside. So this is a textured pattern. I'm knitting it out of this DK weight cashmere merino blend, mostly merino. This is what I knit crocheted my wedding shawl out of, and I still have like this cone and then another full cone. So who knows? I'll probably get another t-shirt out of this as well. So I finished the back and have started on the front. let's see if I can make sense out of this for you. So because there's a lot of things that are held on try-on tubing, there's yarn that's trying to get tangled up in the try-on tubing and doing a very good job of that. Here's the back. And I'm showing you the wrong side. So here's the back. This is the left side. So when I put it on, it's going to go, this strap is going to come over my left shoulder, like so. So the way this is knit, it's knit flat, and I started here and knit down to where this try-on tubing is, and then you pick up stitches for the left side and you knit the charts for the left side, and there are some increases. Here, is that better? There's supposed to be, there can be bobbles here. I'm not a fan of bobbles, so I use the lace option, which I like much better. It might make it a little more transparent than I would like, but we will see about that. And then you put on stitches for the right side. And am I doing that? Okay. I haven't started increases yet, so I don't know why I'm panicking about that. The increases go on this side so that it comes together, and this will eventually start the front, and then I think you eventually knit in the round. So I was watching the Nitty Natty podcast, Love and Stitches podcast this morning, and she is also knitting the Staffin tee. So when you get a Rebecca Clow pattern, you get a lot of options. She is doing fingering weight, and I didn't realize that at first. So when she was saying that she was using like a size 3mm needle, I kind of panicked. I was like, oh my gosh, I think I'm using a size 6. And then I realized, and she's also in the pattern that the version of the pattern that she is knitting is like more of a top-down raglan. So very different. So it's really interesting. When you print out the pattern, you get like a stack of papers. The charts are teeny tiny. So I'm actually knitting this with my computer in my lap, and I'm just taking the draw feature and drawing through the rows as I go. And that's working out okay. This is for a knit along that ends in June, so I don't know that I will finish it. I did finish, this was also for a knit along. This was a 7th annual Andrea Knits, Andrea Mowry knit along. The cats are cutting a shine, so they've kind of got some zoomies going on, so you might hear Harley in the background running around. Herbert is less excited about running around. All that to say, I finished this one in time. I don't know that I will finish this one in time. We'll see. So I'll talk about the other project that has been a long-standing project that's in this bag made by my husband with his industrial sewing machine. This is the Sock Arms cardigan, and that I turned into a pullover. So the main color is a Knit Picks gloss, and I was short on yarn, so I bought another skein or two, and it's a different color. So I'm just knitting away on the sleeves. So I have this one done, left one done. I'm getting close. I've got like 35 rows left for this sleeve. I am thinking about ripping back to the where you split for sleeves and then knitting it, doing helical knitting so that those two blend a little. Also, I want to make it a little smaller because this is going to be really oversized and it's not my favorite thing. I am planning on, when I do the ribbing, I am planning on bringing this in a little bit. So we'll see. I mean, it's meant to be like a top layered, like I'm wearing this right now with the tank top and then this over the top. So I'm not super concerned about what the neckline looks like, but I don't like it when garments fall off my shoulders. So, and I do have, my shoulders do slope a little, so that's something to take into consideration. So that's what I'm kind of thinking about doing. So you're probably going to see this for quite a bit more time. So, but I will try to keep you more amused with some of the other things that I'm knitting. The things I brought out of hibernation. One of the things I brought out of hibernation is in this bag made by my mom. This was fabric that she bought while I was with her in Sturgeon Bay, which is on Lake Michigan in Wisconsin. She just put together this quick drawstring bag for me. It's not lined or anything, but I really like it. Door County, in which Sturgeon Bay is famous for its cherries. Hence the cherry fabric. So, Joyful Colorwork Socks by Charlotte Stone. I have one sock completed. I've had one sock completed for quite a while. So this sock, the little kitty cat, Purr-fect socks, P-U-R-R. So it's a short row heel, and then I did the cuff and the toe, and I don't honestly remember why I did the toe in this other color, just probably because I was feeling silly. So on the second sock, I am on the heel. So got the 3 kitty motifs, and then I'm on the heel. So I'm using Chagu red lace, size I think 1.5. Is that right? Yeah, I think it's 2.25 millimeters. To do the heel, and then the main sock is in the Chagu shorty twists, and I just tangled up so that's what this looks like, and then I'll do 4 of the motifs for the foot and then do the toe. So the hard part about these socks is that you have to manage 3 strands of yarn. It's pretty easy to see that you have 3 strands of yarn in this motif. This one, it's harder to see. Well, maybe not. The camera's doing a good job of picking that up. When I used like a self-striping yarn, it's definitely harder to see, but hopefully these other 2 give you the idea of what it's supposed to look like. So it's not the most relaxing color work, but I'm doing it row by row. And then, let me see, I have 2 more whips to show you. Oops, I forgot to put the book back in. Must have the pattern with the project. So the other one I pulled out of hibernation is this. It's in this bag, also made by my mom. This one is just a little bit more complex because the drawstring is here at the neck rather than the top. And this pattern is out of the Summer Lee Sock Project book, which was given to me by one of my friends and viewers. And I am knitting the surf wax socks in, oh, I forgot to mention that the yarn that I'm using for the Purr-fect socks is pretty much all scrap yarn. The main color, the pink, is a West Yorkshire Spinners, and everything else is scrappy. So I finished one sock. This is out of a repurposed Freckled Whimsey, where I made a mistake and made one sock a different size than the other one, so I ripped it out, and I am reknitting this yarn with the surf wax sock. So you can see this kind of pattern that it has. I did the cuff as, actually I've done everything I think as written. So the cuff is you alternate between a contrast color, the main color, and then a contrast color, and then the heel I did in the main color. So that's the first sock. I'm working on the second sock. Oh, I meant to say on the other project, the color work section, I am using bigger needles. I'm using like 2.75 millimeter needles. just because I tend to get grippy when I'm doing color work. So, and I think these socks are in the Chagu twists, 9-inch circulars, and I think these are in the 1.5 or 2.25 millimeters. So this is where I am on this one. I'm about, so I do, the pattern repeat is 7 rows, and I think I'm on the 3rd repeat. And I do a total of 6 for the leg, because I don't like my socks to be very long. I think that's all I have to say about that. I don't think I have the colorway anymore for this, and I kind of anticipate having quite a bit of leftover yarn, so I'll probably be able to knit a 3rd pair of socks out of this one, because I'm working on the repurposed ball at the moment. So I like this colorway a lot. Blues, purples, browns, those are, I think a lot of those colors pretty much say my name. And then my final whip is in this bag. This is the first project bag my mom made. And it is a zipper, it's quilted, it has a pocket, it has a handle, it has everything. So it's lined with this polka dot fabric that complements this dragonfly fabric quite a bit. So this project is by K.F. Jones, and it is called the Lemontop Socks. I am on this, well, okay, no, that's not true. I'm on the first sock. So this is also Freckled Whimsey. This is, the colorway is Phoenix Tears, so another Harry Potter, one of the Harry Potter clubs. So I have done the heel flap and gusset, and I'm working on the foot. And then I cast on and did the cuff for the second sock. And I'll talk about why I did that kind of when I get to life stuff. So don't let me forget, okay? So here I just have the cuff ready to go. Those are the whips. Okay. So getting back to the subject of giving away some hand knit yarns, hand knit, good grief, hand knit garments. I have been knitting for 10, 15 years now, and I knit mostly garments. I do knit a lot of socks. I have given away some socks that I've already given away some socks that I don't wear anymore, that maybe are slightly, don't fit my feet that well. I have given away some hats that I don't wear. I have made a number of scarves and shawls and hats for other people. I've made Randy 2 sweaters. Okay, I'm getting a little warm, so I'm going to pause this. Okay, much more comfortable. So I predicted that I was not going to be able to wear this very squishy traveler sweater for very long. So as I'm knitting more garments and I'm finishing up garments, I decided, and what prompted this is I was just sort of organizing and moving things around and putting things in different drawers on different shelves. And it was like, oh, wow, I forgot I had this. I forgot I made this. And yeah, I'd like to wear this now that it's getting warmer out. And I put it all together and it's like, wow, I have a lot of hand knit items. And I think it's just time to clean out the closet a little bit and start giving things away. And I talked to my aunt, who is also a knitter. She's actually Randy's aunt, but I also claim her because she's my favorite one. And I asked her what she does, and she says that she's been knitting for a very long time. So she does give stuff away as well, and recognizes that it's hard to part with our dearly beloved things that we put a lot of time and effort and money in with the yarn that we purchased and all of that. I remember the first time I crocheted a tunic, and I was shocked that it was like $80 worth of yarn. And it would be, buying that yarn now, that was like the first crocheted garment I'd ever made. Buying that yarn now, it would be a lot more. So all that to say, what is in my giveaway pile? This is in consideration. So since it's getting to be summer, you know, I probably wear my tanks and tees a lot more. But let's talk about some of the things that you have seen even recently. But this one, this is made out of a Lions brand yarn. It's not particularly precious to me, but it was the first raglan sweater I ever made that really fit. It's a little bit short, so that's, I mean, I like the way it fits, but it's a little bit short, so a little bit too cropped is what I want to say. And I made another one out of this, out of scrap yarn, and I get a lot more use out of it. So this is a DK weight sweater, so it is going in the donate pile. Another thing going in the donate pile is this Christmas cowl. So I made this completely out of scrap yarn. It's a lot of it's color work, and it's hard to see because some of the yarn is self-striping or variegated. And it's the first cowl that I made. This is by Stephanie Lotven. And it's the first Christmas cowl. Things I really like about it, I love these trucks, and I love the sleigh. I still have the pattern, so I could do this again, but I think it's very likely that she often does a knit along in the Advent season. So I can certainly knit another one. And I have 2 more with different motifs. So this one's not particularly, it's a little too bright for me. So I think I'll just give it to somebody else to enjoy. Harley wants on my lap, so I'll move the traveler out of my lap and see if he wants to join me. This one is in the maybe pile. This was a shawl knit along that I actually crocheted together to wear like as a poncho, but it doesn't really poncho that well. The pattern is by Sophia Carlson of Sophia Tales. So, and the reason why I say that is because it's just, I mean, I like it. It kind of goes with, but it's just kind of not long enough to really, I have to wear sleeves with it for it to really poncho properly. I could rip out the seam that I crocheted to make it a poncho and make it a shawl. But it's kind of a small shawl. It would be more like a scarf. So I don't know. This one's in the maybe pile. This one's in the same category as this one. A big maybe. So we'll see. Okay, here's another one. This one is the Adeline tee. It's a Barocco pattern. The yarn is made primarily of viscose. I like it okay. It's just one that I never reach for. Part of it, it has this kind of interesting flap like sleeve that I don't really like. I like the pattern. I think that's cool, but you know, I don't wear it enough to keep it because I have a lot of other choices. This one I wore pretty recently. This is it the Rocket Tee? Yeah, I think it's the Rocket Tee, and it's by Tanis Lavallee. So it's made out of mohair and fingering held together. So it's just a little bit too big for me. This is the second time I knit it. So I knit it one way, and then I ripped it out and knit it this way instead, where I held the yarn double rather than alternating. And the purl ridges are where there would ordinarily be stripes of fingering, then the mohair the purl ridge just indicates that there's a stripe. So I think I'm ready to say goodbye to that one. And then finally is this one. This is out of Stephanie Lotven's book, Knit Happy with Self-Striping Yarn. I didn't use a self-striping yarn. I used a set from Legacy Fiber Arts. And this sweater it's just a little too cropped for me. And I think I used every bit of yarn that I had on it. And I just don't wear it enough to justify it. It's just a little bit too warm to be a short sleeve because it is color work. But it's, so all that to say, the reasons why I don't wear it, so it's going in the giveaway pile. So I'm curious what you do with your hand knits when you have got tired of wearing them. So feel free to comment below and let me know what you do with them. Generally I keep my socks, but I do give them away if you know, the charity that I tend to take things to, they obviously serve, well, I don't know if it's obvious or not, low-income people who may just need something nice and warm, you know, and I think they also serve homeless shelters. So it would be interesting to see my hand knit stuff perhaps on a homeless person, but I would be very glad to see it go to someone who truly needs it, that rather than me stockpiling it and overstuffing my drawers. So I think that's it for the knitting. Let me check my notes here. Hold please. Okay, yeah. So I'm still working on Stashdown plans. I bought another pattern recently. It's a wool and pine that uses a lot of scraps. It's called the Sea Glass Sweater. So I referenced that in my show notes. I don't know what I'm going to cast on next. What I have on my list of casting on is a crochet top from a 2012 magazine that I showed. It's been several weeks since I showed it. I got distracted and started putting casting on other things, and decided I would address the whips that were hibernating. So I will get into life stuff and probably a little more horsemanship, since that's part of life for me. If you were here for the projects, thank you for sticking with me through that, and I'll see you next time. For those of you who are staying, I hope you have enough of your beverage to keep going and can continue working on your projects. So the weather for last weekend, so let's start with Friday. It was really nice on Friday, and as I mentioned, we had a trail ride for the riding lesson, and I rode the mare that I usually do. Wasn't sure if she'd ever been out on the trails, and I never asked the question. She's normally a very calm horse, but the horse in front of us on the trail was being a bit dramatic about things, and that made the horse I was riding upset. So then she, started paying more attention to the horse in front of me than to the signals that I was giving her. And I honestly didn't do a very good job of helping her through that, helping her feel confident. It's just, sometimes it's hard to do that on a trail. Like you can turn circles, you can do leg yields, you can do all sorts of things to help them engage their body and their mind. And I didn't do a very good job. So the person in the front ended up going to the back, and the main instructor came up to the front on her very calm mare. And almost immediately, the horse I was riding calmed down. So we were able to do the trail ride. It was great fun. And my confidence was tested a little bit, but nothing bad happened. Okay, there's Harley. There's Harley. Harley wants in my lap, even though my lap is already occupied by a computer. So, hi, Harley. Yeah, we'll snuggle. What else? Last Friday. So I think that was it. That was the lesson. That was the second to the last lesson. Today is the last lesson. Like I said, it's supposed to rain today, but I'm curious how we're going to close out this session and then what opportunities there are to ride or participate in clinics over the summer. Or, maybe if they have some clinics and, ideally Odin will be feeling better once he realizes that he can't be too rambunctious out in the pasture, or we have to take a next step. So ideally, if it's groundwork clinics, I can take Odin, and that would be great. And just speaking of Odin, one of the things that I've realized with both Odin and Bragi is that the little things really matter. Like just taking a moment to correct, like putting them in the position that you want them. Like Odin always wants to be in my space, and I need to remind him he doesn't need to be in my space. And I prefer he wasn't all the time. Or, if he moves his shoulder into me, remind him that he needs to move his shoulder away from me. And with Bragi, the little things are, you need to have your attention. When I am with you, you need to have your attention on me. So we've been working on those things. We, being Bragi and I, and Odin and I, have been working on those things. Also, Odin is just terrified of having water. I don't know if he's terrified or he just doesn't like it. Having water sprayed on him, which, someday I'd like to give him a bath. Someday it would be nice to be able to, when it's hot, be able to hose him down to cool him off. So far, I've just used a sponge and a bucket. I have sprayed him off one time, and he didn't protest. And I think he actually liked it. But so now what I'm doing is whenever I bring the hose through Odin's stall to fill up the water buckets, I bring the hose back over and touch Odin with it. I mean, the water isn't on. There might be a dribble out of it. And so that's what we're working on. Just little things. And I think it makes a big difference in your communication and relationship with your horse and your kitty cat. What else is going on? Bragi's itchy problem seems to be mostly resolved. I'm using a combination of diaper cream and a soothing spray. The diaper cream is Desitin. That seems to work the best. I'm using a soothing spray called Microtech, and I am using a fly spray. So I'm not even using fly spray on Odin yet. They both wear fly masks on sunny days. And I use integrated pest management. So in other words, I use like fly predators from Spalding Labs. Just started using a feed through fly deterrent and then fly spray. But like I said, Odin doesn't even need fly spray yet. Bragi has needed fly spray since March because he's a poor itchy boy. And I started using the over-the-counter allergy meds that I can get from Costco. They're called Allertech, and I give him a certain number of pills in the evening and a certain number of pills in the morning. And he, even when he doesn't eat all of his grain, he eats those pills, which I think is a little strange, but it seems to be working. He seems to be a lot less itchy, and I think that's helping him feel better. What else has been going on? We went we a barbecue at Randy's sister's house on Saturday, and that was fun. I just ate way too much. It was super full when we got home. And then Sunday I did the garden work that I showed in the intro, and that was nice. And then Monday, in classic Pacific Northwest, it rained on Memorial Day. So Randy's niece and her boyfriend came up to an area, a place north of us. She barrel races, so she hauled her horse up there and was gonna do this barrel race. So Randy wasn't feeling good. He had a bad cold, just a head cold, but so he didn't go with me, but I went up there and I watched her barrel race. So it was really fun. Out of 75 riders, she was 73rd. And of course, you know, she got there long before the event even started. I mean, they were all set up and warming up and stuff. And I got there as they were just letting, like, I forgot what the group is called, the Pee-wee or whatever. It's basically the walk trot riders. And there was just a few of them doing that. So it was a bit of a day, but it was really fun. And I videoed her, so I'm going to share that video with you at the end of this. Work, you know, work is going on. There's still just the return to office. There's just been a lot of feedback from staff and supervisors on how the return to office is just making our jobs and our lives a lot harder. So far, we're not getting support from our leadership, which is unfortunate. So I honestly haven't gone back to the office for a couple weeks now. Plan to go back next week. I plan on taking public transit. So I've figured out a schedule that I think is going to work for me. There's a bus stop about near the freeway, about a couple miles from here, that I can go. I can pick up a bus, and my employer pays for the transit card. It just comes with our badges, our identification badges that let us in buildings as well. So I can connect to, or I can catch community transit with this regional transportation card. It's called Orca. Isn't that funny? Because, you know, killer whales, and I don't remember. Orca stands for something that has to do with regional transport, but I couldn't tell you what it is. And then I take the bus down to the train station. It's light rail, so I take light rail to another different system, the metro system, and catch a bus that should be only about 7 minutes, and it drops me off at the park and ride that's just right adjacent to the office. Monday, there's a going away party for a colleague, so I have to go to downtown Seattle, which I think I can really easily do, catching light rail, catching that 8-minute bus, catching light rail to downtown Seattle, and then I can attend the party and then catch the light rail back up north, and then the community transit bus. So that was a long-winded way of saying the reason why I am motivated to get my whips off the needles, especially the sock patterns that I really need, the pattern, and it's a book. I am going to take the Lemontop socks, which is why I did that cuff on the second set of needles. So I'm planning on just getting a lot of knitting time during transit time. So that's what that is all about. And I have several other sock patterns and other small projects that are, oh, you can probably see it. So nope, that's a different project. Well, the project back there that you can see in that bag, that's for the knitting class, for the knitting, the Northwest, what's it called? Fiber Fusion Northwest event that's next weekend. I am taking a class, a colorwork class, and it's all what I need to make a hat, a colorwork hat out of scrap yarn. So, and then right next to me, which I don't think you can see, but maybe you can. If you can, it's right there. There's 2 bags hanging off the door that have projects that are kind of ready to go for scrappy knitting on the bus and train when I finish the Lemontop socks. One of them's another pair of socks, and one of them's a shawl. So could be more stuff that just goes into the donation pile. Who knows? Anyway, that's all I have, and wasn't that quite enough? So thanks for watching, and I'll catch up with you next time.